Right now, we're in a short window where new property stock is coming to the market. Buyers are still cautious and competition is lower than it will be in spring. Most people don't realize this window exists, and by the time March arrives, it's already closed. In this video, I'm going to show you why late December, January, and February are some of the best times to buy property, and the types of deals that show up, and how I've used this window repeatedly over the years. Why this window exists: market psychology. The property market is highly seasonal, but most people don't think about it that way. December slows everything down. Buyers pause, deals fall through. January is when reality kicks in. Sellers who are still on the market now usually fall into one of a few categories. I actually use a simple motivated seller signals checklist for this. Things like probate, failed sales, empty properties, or sellers prioritizing speed over price. I'll put that on screen now so you can see exactly what I'm looking for. This checklist helps you identify genuine seller motivation, not just asking price reductions. True motivations is about certainty, speed, and reduced friction. Common motivated seller types: probate or inherited property, ex-rental where the landlord is exiting, chain collapse or failed sale, investor exiting due to portfolio review or tax changes, behavioural signals, flexible completion dates, speed prioritised over maximum price, preference for buyers not needing a mortgage, property currently empty. Agent tells, off the record signals. The seller just wants it sold. They're fed up with it. They'll listen to sensible offers. It's been a frustrating sale. What motivation is not? A single small price reduction, a turnkey or newly refurbished property, a seller chasing top of the market pricing. Action step. When multiple motivational signals stack together, this is when you should act decisively, move quickly, and structure an offer that solves the seller's problem. I created a downloadable version for you so you can use it for yourself. A pattern I've seen over time. What's interesting is that when I look back at my own purchases, there's a clear pattern. A lot of the properties where I added the most amount of value were either viewed or agreed in December, January, or February. Not because I planned it that way, but because that's when the right stock appeared. Let me give you a few real examples. Example 1, Beckett House, London Bridge, January. This flat was extremely tired and dated. The person living there had been a hoarder. You couldn't even see to the end of some of the rooms. There were no photos online, no floor plans, no proper listing. These are exactly the kind of red flags I look for. I've got a distressed property identification checklist that I run through mentally. Poor photos, long time on the market, tired condition, vague descriptions. I'll put that checklist on screen now so you can see what I mean. Distressed property identification checklist. Use this checklist to quickly identify properties that may be distressed and therefore offer better buying opportunities, less competition, and more flexible sellers. Listing red flags. No photos or very poor quality photos, no floor plan provided, long time on the market, previously sold then returned to the market, multiple price reductions or vague descriptions, property condition indicators, tired or dated kitchen and bathroom, signs of neglect or disrepair, empty or partially stripped property, obvious cosmetic issues that deter residential buyers, time indicators, listed before Christmas and still unsold, relisted in January or February, sale fallen through late in the year. Agent language to listen for. Seller is realistic, looking for a buyer who can move quickly. Needs work, not for everyone. Happy to consider offers. Quick decision test. If the property looks unattractive to most buyers, requires work, and the seller appears flexible or motivated, it's worth further investigation. I created a downloadable version for you so you can use it for yourself. Most buyers would never even have known that this flat in London Bridge existed. The only reason I saw it was because the agent called me directly. He knew this was exactly the type of stock I was looking for. On the viewing, the agent was very open. He said the family just wanted it sold and would favour buyers who didn't need a mortgage, because most residential buyers simply wouldn't touch it given the amount of work involved. The flat itself was a really good size, about 55 square metres. I could immediately see the potential to reconfigure it from a one bed into a 2-bedroom apartment. I was planning on doing a full refurbishment anyway, so why not add as much value as possible? Flat was purchased for £330,000, and after reconfiguration and refurbishment, it was valued at £450,000 just 6 months later. That deal doesn't happen in April. Another example was a one-bed flat in Vauxhall, which I viewed again in December. I had actually seen this flat earlier in the year and I really liked it, but it sold to another buyer. That buyer then pulled out. When I went to view it the second time, it looked awful. There were marks all over the walls, the kitchen appliances had been removed, it felt like a shell. The agent told me the owner was an investor who was frustrated the sale had fallen through and just wanted it sold. The flat was empty, and if it didn't sell, the owner would have to spend money just to get it back up to a lettable standard. The agent also mentioned that lettings tend to slow around Christmas, so it would likely sit empty for months. Fewer buyers, more motivation. Because of the condition and timing, I was able to offer a lot less than I had earlier in the year. And again, it was a one-bedroom flat that I could reconfigure into a two-bedroom apartment. This is why December, January, and February are so powerful. Anyone selling during this period usually needs to sell. A similar pattern showed up with a one-bedroom flat in West Hampstead, which we viewed and agreed to buy in December. Online, the photos didn't look too bad. In person, it was much worse. The plaster was falling off the living room ceiling. The bath panel in the bathroom was lying on the floor. All things that immediately put off most buyers. We purchased this flat for £303,000, refurbished it, reconfigured it, and it was revalued at £450,000 6 months later. Again, tired, dated, awkward, but bought at the right time of year. Example 4, Essex Road, January, scaling up. The same seasonal logic even applied to a larger project, a detached house in Essex Road that we purchased in January. It had been on the market for a long time. It was tired, dated, and needed extensive works, including major garden works. The size of the plot and the scope of the works put most buyers off. But we saw the development potential. Front garden could be used for parking, rear garden could become communal space, side space could be used to extend and reconfigure. That allowed us to convert the house into 5 flats. Timing mattered here as well. Less competition, more flexibility. Every one of these deals shared the same characteristics. Tired or dated, poor presentation, residential buyers put off, viewed or agreed in the quieter months. This is why timing is really important. My first filter, the floor plan. Before I look at the photos or descriptions, I look at the floor plan. I want to know, is there wasted space? Can the kitchen be moved? Can another bedroom be created? Does the layout make sense? If the floor plan doesn't work, I move on immediately. This one habit saves me hours and stops emotional decision making. The agent call. Qualification, not a chat. If the floor plan works, I'll have a quick call with the estate agent. This isn't a casual chat, I'm qualifying the deal. I actually follow a short agent's call script, questions about time on the market, offers, the seller's situation, and what really matters to them. I'll put that script on screen now because this is what saves the most time. Estate agent deal, qualification script, market and listing position. How long has the property been on the market? Have there been many viewings? What has been the general feedback from the buyers? Has price been reduced since it was listed? Offers and buyer interest. Have there been any offers? If yes, why didn't they proceed? Were they cash or mortgage buyers? Is there any current interest? The seller situation. Does the owner live there or is it owned by an investor? Is the property empty or occupied? If occupied, who lives there? Is it on a fixed or rolling tenancy? Sale drivers. Why is the owner selling? Is there any deadline? What matters more, best price or speed? Comparable evidence. Have you sold any similar properties nearby? What did they sell for and when? How does this property compare? Leasehold and building if it's a flat. What is the length of the lease? What is the annual service charge? What is the ground rent? Any major works planned? Who is the freeholder or managing agent? Risk flags. Are there any structural issues? Any legal issues? Any title or lease problems? Any neighbour disputes? Comparable evidence. Targeted 2-bed comparables. Have you sold any 2-bedroom flats in this block? If yes, could you email me those through please? If they ask why, explain you're considering reconfiguring and you want to understand the 2-bed value. If not, have you sold any 2-bedroom flats in a similar block nearby? This saves time versus searching sold listings and helps with quick deal analysis. Viewings and speed. By the time I view, I already know the deal might work. The viewing is about confirming condition, not falling in love. I take photos, videos, boiler details, fuse boards, everything I need to move quickly afterwards. Quick builder sense check. After the viewing, I'll often send the photos and videos to a builder for a rough sense check. Not for a full quote, just is there anything unusual? Does this feel straightforward? Any red flags? This keeps refurb costs realistic. Final takeaway. If you're serious about buying property this year, the next few weeks matter. The window before spring is where leverage exists. Once the market gets busy, that leverage disappears. What matters isn't waiting, it's having a process that lets you act with confidence when the right opportunity shows up. None of this is complicated, but most people don't have a process, so they hesitate when it matters. If you want all of this in one place, the distressed property checklist, the motivated sellers checklist, and the agent call script, I've made them all downloadable. They're the exact tools I use before spring when speed matters most. Make sure you subscribe so you get notified when I release my next video.